Paul Rainbird. We are here at NIMAN Gallery with the premier artist, Dan Namingha, and we're going to have a couple of words with him. We're fortunate to be able to be here tonight, and the work that he's produced over the many, many years certainly has created the mystique of a master. Dan, nice to see you.
Good seeing you, Paul.
So tell us about some of your new work.
Well, it differs. Sometimes I'll go back to work I did maybe 45 years ago, and I'll look back at some of those old works and take bits and pieces of that and reincorporate it into current work. So it's constantly ongoing, and the theme is still there from what I was doing 48 years ago or longer. And but I'm always trying to take it to another level. And some of the works, that I've done in the past, I actually started out as a realist painter. And from that I went into abstraction. Well, Impressionism and then abstraction, and then took it down further into minimalism. And so, say for example, this painting here is very minimal. It's a landscape, but it actually started with a realist drawing I did, and then I broke that down into just simple forms, reflecting on the landscape in this area and also on the reservation where I grew up.
Tell us a little bit about your beginnings. You were raised on the Hopi Reservation.
I was raised on the Hopi Reservation, and my first introduction to painting really began there, and in elementary school. There was a teacher by the name of Lillian Russell who introduced me to oil paints as well as watercolors, casein and charcoal, and graphite pencils, and just kind of let me loose. And so I experimented with that. She basically showed me the technique and how to use these different mediums, and sometimes even incorporate them. And so not only myself but other children in the school were encouraged by her. And so you'll see several artists, that have come out of that generation at Hopi.
Exactly.
And I'm just one of them.
Exactly.
And I continue that whole experience in my work today. What I learned back then. Then, as time progressed, of course, I went to 3 different art schools. And
which ones were those?
I went on a scholarship. I went to KU, University of Kansas, and then I came here to IAIA, and from IAIA I went to Chicago. I was there briefly, and then did my military service, and then came back after my military discharge. And in 1972, got serious about wanting to be an artist. And I've been working at it ever since.
That's great. From the Hopi perspective, as something that I've felt from the Pueblo perspective, our traditional upbringing also kind of gives us or shapes us with some aesthetic appreciation that we incorporate, let's say, in ceremonial headdresses, as simple as that, or something that we're taught to appreciate in terms of landscape, the surroundings, where the shrines are, that kind of thing. Do you feel that credit is appropriate?
Yeah, it's the foundation of who we are. It's part of our foundation as Native Americans. I work with different parts of that. And incorporated into my work. The spirituality of the culture, the importance of nature, and the importance of protecting our environment.
Exactly.
And much of that also comes through a lot of the songs, that are sung and composed. My grandfather and my dad composed songs for some of the ceremonies, and so when I listen to those words, they're very poetic, and so therefore you get this visual image in your head of that song, and so you start to kind of jot that down, whether it's in a painting or a drawing or a print. But at the same time, you're trying to condense that. It might be a very long song with a lot of meaning, but you try to condense it down into something very minimal, but still has that impact. That's what I try to get to.
That's really great. So tell me, your gallery's open all weekend long in Indian Market?
Yeah. We're open, right now the opening is Friday evening, and we'll be open tomorrow and Saturday, as well as on Sunday also. And it's a very exciting time, I think, especially for all Native Americans who are artists and who are here showing their work. And they come from all over the country and congregate here, which is great, I think. And it's a great exposure for a lot of the young artists coming up, showing their new work.
Yeah.
And it's encouraging and inspiring for them as well.
Yeah. Well, one thing I know about you, Dan, is that you've inspired a lot of Indian artists. You've encouraged them, and I know that there's been a lot of support there, and I'm sure there's a number of them, besides your sons who are great artists, following in your footsteps, but others who consider you kind of a mentor.
Well, I was asked once, what is one of the most important things in your life or you would like to accomplish, or have you accomplished? You could say I've received this award or this honor or whatever. I think for me it's inspiring other artists, especially the younger artists. And I think that's the most important thing for me as a person giving back, to these younger people and teaching them.
On that final thought, I thank you for your time. Excellent thought, and I see a lot of red dots, so I'm sure that's never an issue. Thank you, Dan.
Put some food on the table.
Okay.
All right.